what is a day center?
So, Lisa, they come in different forms and formats, but typically they're going to be composed of multiple rooms because it's really an activity center. And of course, we're going to have 3 or 4 different activities going on at the same time. We're going to have multiple rooms to accommodate then our guests when they attend our center. Day centers are going to have somewhere to eat, so they're going to typically be a dining room. There's going to be a kitchen that's associated with that dining room, obviously rest facilities. If it's a good center, it's also going to have an area where they can do walking exercises, which we do at the end of each of the activities during the course of the day. So they'll have multiple opportunities to be able to participate in that as well. For us, it's a secure center, which we're really proud of. And the fact is, we have alarms on the doors and the people are secure within the center. And no one's allowed in there into the center other than, the people that we're providing the services for. Certainly, their caregivers can come in there, but beyond that, we're careful and protective of the people that are with us on any given day. And we'll have as many as 35 to 40. And so we've got a lot of people moving about, within the center. So that's generally the makeup of a day center.
So what's a day like at the day center?
Go ahead, Alex.
Well, really, at our center, right, Laura, it starts around 7:30 in the morning. That's when our first guests arrive. Mm-hmm. So they're greeted at the front door by our people. They're checked in so that we know they're here. The caregiver can go ahead and confidently feel comfortable during the course of the day that their loved one's going to be taken care of. Once they get beyond that, Laura, what do? They go to one of the activity rooms?
It depends on what time they get here. We're very flexible about their time. So they can come anytime they want. We have activities that start every 30 minutes. So pretty much something's going to be starting anytime they come. If they come first thing in the morning, we usually have what we call coffee talk. Mm-hmm. So we will have topics of conversations, usually about their family or what happened to them growing up, who taught them how to ride a bike, just various questions that stimulate their long-term memories first thing in the morning while we give them coffee and a continental breakfast. So we serve a continental breakfast first thing in the morning and coffee or tea. And then if they come in later, there's some kind of activity usually going on. And so they can just join and usually there's activities going in multiple rooms, so they can join whichever activity appeals to them the most. So, and usually we get to know the guests pretty well. And so we know what activities that they enjoy. Mm-hmm. So we can just kind of steer them in the right direction. Sure. And we have different kinds of activities. We'll have cognitive activities, we'll have physical activities, and music also. So we'll do exercise at least 6 times a day because the latest research in memory care says exercise is good for this disease. We try to, all of our cognitive activities have some element in something that happened in their lifetime. Pretty much all of our activities do that. Mm-hmm. So we will, like for instance, if we do trivia, it'll be things that happened in their lifetime. Like for instance, who was the president that resigned from office in the 1970s? That kind of thing. And then if they know the answer, they can say it. But even if they don't, they're reminded of it. And what our hope is if they're constantly bringing up things that are in their long-term memory and thinking about them, maybe they won't go away as quickly as if they would if they weren't. So we're trying to stave off the disease as much as we can in that way. Even our physical activities, we do things like cornhole and volleyball and things like that. Those are activities that they did growing up. So it does remind them of their life. We play bingo. There's just dominoes. There's a lot of recreational activities that are also cognitively stimulating. And then probably our favorite thing is we incorporate music with pretty much everything that we do. All of our activities have some element of music, or not all of them, but most of them. And so music is the only thing that really uses all parts of the brain, and that's the last thing to go. So we try to keep their brain stimulated with music all day. So
Sure. I mean, one of the things we want to be careful of is we don't frustrate them, right?
yeah,
And because they have difficulty with their short-term memory,
right,
we're not going to spend time in short-term.
right.
So typically politics is not something that we're going to bring up in
No.
the center.
No, we're
But-
a politic-free zone.
Absolutely. So, and again, it's their opportunity to be successful at things.
Yes.
So the activities that we do elicit a response from our guests. And because of that, then they can feel good about themselves by
That's
having the
right.
answers.
That's right.
So it makes their day a better day because our job is really to make it the best possible day they can have.
We also try to give everybody that comes to our center a purpose, because this disease is a devastating diagnosis when they get it. And a lot of times they're thinking, what's left for me to do? It doesn't matter what you've been diagnosed with. Every person needs some reason to get up in the morning. They need some purpose. And the fact that we tell them, the fact that you're still here means that you still have a purpose. So what we try to do is give them a job at the center and give them some reason to feel important and feel like they're accomplishing something. And so consequently, most of our guests think they work there.
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe they think they're doing volunteer work, but and they're very happy to do it. They're very enthusiastic about their jobs.
Absolutely.
And it gives them, makes them more excited about coming to the center too.
We're also very sensitive to the fact that now they're in a new environment.
Yes.
Most of the guests that we have been at home with the spouse. We always say sitting in a bar or lounger watching TV and really not doing anything more than that.
Or
So
with their
now
kids.
And now to take that individual and put them in this dynamic environment can be pretty overwhelming. And this is true for all the people we got, whether they were very social people before or if they were an accountant and a single shingle. So we're very sensitive to that and make sure that, again, we know, and we do that through the interviews that we have with the spouse or the kids or who's ever taking care of them, that we understand who they are. So that way, when they're introduced to our staff is very confident in knowing that, sure enough, Laura, you're a school teacher, and be able to address that in a regular way to, again, make them feel confident and comfortable in the environment that we have. And even some of our caregivers have a role, we call them the ambassador, where they're really kind of making sure that that person's going to have a great day as well. Remind them where the bathrooms are, remind them where the dining room is, remind them where the activities are. Again, it gives everybody a purpose, gives our ambassador a purpose, and then makes our new guests feel very comfortable. So then what happens then at the end of the day, Laura? What's it like around here?
The beginning of the day and the end of the day are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
We start with coffee talk. We end with another version of coffee talk usually, but we don't call it coffee talk because there's no coffee. But we'll end the day with trying to engage them. At the end of the day, people are really getting tired and they're ready to go home. So that's when most of our anxiety really shows up, is at the end of the day, because they see their friends leaving and they want to go home also. So, and sometimes they worry, what if my loved one doesn't know where I am? Or what if my loved one has forgotten about me or whatever. So we always try to reassure them that we've heard from their loved one and that their loved one is going to be picking them up. And then we try to redirect them and get them engaged in something that they're interested in. And usually that's themselves.
Sure.
So what we do is we find out a little bit about them at the end of the day. It's a smaller group, and so everybody's able to just share their stories. So it's a nice time.
Yeah. So that's a center for you. That's the activity in a center. That's what a center looks like. We do that 5 days a week, 7:30 to 6 o'clock, to accommodate, again, caregivers, spouses that are taking care of their loved ones who still may have to work, or they just need that break, and we want to make sure we can provide that to them.
It's a great segue. So what makes it unique, the center a unique place for caregivers? Like, why is it special and different?
Yeah, so for the caregiver, you're talking about the person taking care of the spouse or whoever it is. It's the needed break that they absolutely have to have. For anybody that's dealt with anybody with dementia, and I'm assuming that's why you're watching this video, you know how difficult it can be.
Mhm.
Those days can get long. And it's very difficult to stimulate someone 10 or 12 hours in the course of a day, 7 days a week. And that's where we step in then. So the benefit is not only for the individual that attends the program, but very much so for the caregiver.
Yeah, because you really do need some strategies to help you relax. And if we are entertaining your loved one, you can really, our goal for you really is that you can completely relax when they're here, that know that they're happy, they're well taken care of, and you can just nap and not worry about it. And a lot of times Alex was saying that the caregivers need a break. The loved one with dementia needs a break too, and this is their break sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
So it's good. People need their own autonomy, no matter what, and so it's good really for both sides to get that.
That's right. And it's not unusual either for the caregiver to face a lot of guilt in the beginning of this process, because they felt like that was their job, especially for male, but it can be the female caregivers as well. I'm supposed to provide financial security and all the things that they have, and they're no longer able to do that. So they feel guilty that they're sending their loved one off. And they need to rethink that process, because they're doing the best thing they can for their loved one.
Yes.
This is like a diagnosis and now a cure for them. It's a medicine, really. And even neurologists will tell you that the best thing you can do for them is to get them into a day center where they can be around other people, where they can socialize, again, have a good day. And it's not unusual, Laura. I know at my center I used to see it, where I would see the caregiver guilt the first few days, and I'd see the guilt sort of, ebbing away. And then by the end, they would drop their loved one off, and I could hear them peel out of the parking lot because they're going to go enjoy their day. They were going to go play golf, or she was going to go do bridge, or maybe just go home and read a book that they haven't been able to do probably for months or years.
And then the kids, of course, they have to go to work a lot of times. So they drop their family member here, their mom, their dad, and they can relax and get their work done without having to worry about whether, if their loved one's safe.
Absolutely.
So how do I know if a day center is right for my loved one?
Well, part of it is, what level of frustration are you at? That is the whole idea of you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
But most importantly, you've been educated enough from your neurologist that it is the right thing to do. There is no cure. It's a disease without a cure, unfortunately. But there are ways to slow the progress of the disease down. And this is the way to do that.
Yeah. Socialization is so important.
That's right. So, and you can't do it by yourself. They're always amazed, right? Because we have 45, sometimes up to 50 people during the course of the day, and we're able to keep them all satisfied and engaged in the programs, and they can't keep one person engaged at home. And we're professionals. This is how we're trained. This is what we do for a living. We have a passion for it because we've all have family members that are going through the same journey that you as a caregiver are going through currently, and want to make it that great day, and again, give that time back to yourself. Day centers can't take care of your loved one forever.
Right.
There are going to be points in their journey where the services that we offer and their ability to be able to take advantage of those services are not appropriate any longer. So, we are that bridge. We are that piece between staying home and ultimately being in a care facility. There's no question that we can increase the amount of time they can stay with us and with you by the programs that we provide for them. And for you to move directly from home to a facility, in our experience, is not going to offer them the same opportunities that a day center is going to do. They provide a different level of care in your memory care places. They're really about keeping them safe. Yeah. Fed, right?
Their ADLs.
That's right. Meeting those needs. The stimulation component that you get with someone that's focused specifically on that for a business or for a living, like what we do, is going to be much better and to a higher level.
In the beginning stages of this disease, it's really sometimes you think, hey, my loved one is okay by themselves. They're fine. They don't need what we do yet, but we want to know about you for when we do need it. But what we think is the sooner the better, because even they're okay alone until they're not. And you never know when that not is going to be. And so in the 15 years we've been doing this, I could tell you horror stories about people that were just fine yesterday, home alone. And then this horrible thing happened that nobody anticipated because they were home alone. And it could be, judgment, just bad judgment, financial, or it could be like deadly mistakes. So that they can make just because they're not in their right mind. They're not thinking correctly. They have brain damage. Mm-hmm. So I think that we are definitely a bridge between staying at home and assisted living. We take them until they get to the point that we can no longer. We're an activity center, really not a care center. So we can entertain them and stimulate them cognitively up to a point. And unfortunately, this is a progressive disease, and eventually they're going to progress past what we can do for them. And at that, we hope to slow it down, but if they live long enough, they're going to progress.
Right.
So there is going to come a time when they're going to need full-time care. And that is because they're beyond us. And if they're beyond us, they're probably beyond the person at home.
Sure.
Because we have a team of people that are taking care of the people at this center. A lot of times there's only one at home or maybe two or three. So right. What we can offer is the family members that come to us are in the very beginning usually have a lot of guilt, as Alex said. Mm-hmm. But once they see that this works out really, really well, then their guilt starts to dissipate and they start sure. thinking, hey, I've made a really great decision. And then when the time comes that that person needs more full-time care, it's just an easier transition for the family member because they've already been through the guilt and the fear before and it turned out okay. So the second step, we're a good first step. The second step is easier for the caregiver. There's less guilt a lot of times.
Yeah, because usually one of the things we have to do up front is break the codependency between mm-hmm. the two of them because mm-hmm. they are codependent. There's no question about that. Yeah. And the other thing we're really sensitive to is that we can see when our guest is nearing the point where, again, they're not appropriate and the services we offer aren't going to be of any value. And that's when we have the discussion with the family member to say, okay, we need to start looking at the next plan here for your loved one. Mm-hmm. We think one of those would probably be best, might be a memory care center for you. We have connections with memory care centers in the area, some that we prefer over other ones. But again, we do that transition, kind of like what you said, when we bring them on, we're doing the transition now out. And it's not going to be a surprise. We're not going to tell them that tomorrow it's no longer appropriate. But yeah, we see that maybe in the next 30 days or so that we'll have to work towards that, giving them the time to go out and talk to the memory care centers. We give them a list of questions that you should be looking for. Don't show up necessarily with an appointment. Show up, odd hours, those kinds of things to make sure that they're seeing exactly how these memory centers work.
Another thing that I'd like to mention is we do what we do. We know about a few memory care centers. Like we hear the rumors just like everybody else. You kind of have an idea of where the good care is and where the not so good care mm-hmm. is. But we do not, that's not our job. That's not what we do. So there are companies, there are places that actually their whole job is just to look over memory care places and see what in their opinion is the best one. And so sometimes if we don't know, we'll refer our loved ones to like a Paul Markowitz or
right. Right, to a placement agency or
Yeah,
uh-huh.
of somebody that does know the market, does know what's out there. We have a couple that we are very that we do like, that we know about, but we don't know about all of them. So if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, what do you think about this memory care center?" There's a million of them. I haven't been in all of them. I don't have time to do that. So I'll usually refer them to a senior advisor.
Senior
company.
advisor. Yeah, I think the other observation that we've had is that sometimes, and again, we understand the life of the caregiver, but we're not with them daily, and
Right.
some people have more tolerance than others.
Right.
But they'll come to us and they're looking to place them earlier than we think
They're ready. Yeah.
for the individual themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we do try to counsel them on as well. Again, if it's so difficult at home, then that's probably the right decision. But what they find is when they do place them too early, they find out that the community that they're in is not providing the same level of services that we have. So they're disappointed in that. And it's been on occasion that people end up coming back to us because they recognize their loved ones not getting that kind of care that they got through purely an activity center.
Right.
Are there different kinds of day centers, and what are they?
Yes, there are. Okay, we have a very specific kind, and we're very niche. I think we may be the only ones that have what we have. We just take the couple of stages of dementia, so beginning to mid stages, and that's all we know. Now, we'll have people that call us and say, "Can you take my loved one that has this disease or that disease?" We don't know anything about this disease or that disease. We feel like we know a lot about dementia care in the beginning, first couple of stages. So because that's our expertise, that's what we know about, that's the only clientele that we serve. And so usually what we'll do if someone calls me and says, "Hey, I've got somebody that has this," and it may be close to dementia, but it's not something that I've had any experience with, I usually try to refer them to a place that maybe would take them. Or if someone is further along than what we take in the disease, we don't like to leave anybody high and dry. So, and there are places that do what we do, but they take more advanced.
Right.
We call them guests, clients. So.
Right, and the three things that we look at, and we hold fast to this because it also honors our guests. And those three things are if there's incontinence issues, especially if it becomes bowel incontinence, that would be an individual that in the upfront wouldn't be appropriate for our program, or if that became more often, then obviously it'd be a reason for them not to use our services anymore. If there are behavioral issues, and again, some other centers may take care of that, but if there are true elopement issues where their desire is every minute they're here is to not be here, that would be something, again, that we would say you need to talk to someone else.
We can handle those people. We can handle those people.
Okay, all right.
Can't we? We can turn those people around. That's why we have a secure facility.
Yeah, okay.
Because, we have a secure facility because there are elopement risks, and we're the ones that handle that.
Yeah.
There are other facilities that won't handle elopement risks. That's why they bring them to us.
Yeah, okay.
So,
all right. So,
if they're going to be breaking a window to get out, that's one thing.
Right.
But if they're just trying to go to the door a lot and get out, we're very well trained.
Right.
To redirect them on that deal.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
That's who we are. We're the ones. If you have elopement risks, bring them to us. And not only will we figure them out and try to make them less of an elopement risk, but once we figure them out, we'll train you at home on how to keep them from leaving home too.
A lot of times elopement is a function of them not being engaged in the program that we're offering.
Yeah. Well, if they become bored, they become anxious. And anxiety is what causes that. They just want to get out.
Right.
You know, that could be at home or here, anywhere. So we recognize that is one of the signs. If they're tired, you know, at the end of the day, you'll have people that aren't elopement risk all of a sudden become elopement risks.
Right.
It happens sometimes if all their friends are gone and they're ready to go too.
Sure.
So they're ready.
That's right.
All day long, they've had a great day and they're not haven't even thought about the door. Well, you know, it's 5:45. They're starting to get a little nervous.
That's right.
Am I going to have to spend the night here?
That's right.
And we try to reassure them, nope, if we have to drive you home ourselves, we'll take you home.
And again, wheelchairs would be the other one.
Yeah.
You know, it changes the behavior of everybody. It changes the look of the center as well. So that would be one that if someone, certainly walkers, we've got many of them out there. Every once in a while we have a walker fight, but we have walkers. But again, the wheelchairs would be to a different center.
Well, with the wheelchairs, the reason we don't take wheelchairs is we don't have a lot of room, and they take up a lot of room. That's one thing. Second thing is we're an activity center. We're not a care center. So even if the person can transfer themselves, it's still, we don't have the room. And so we just have decided not to do wheelchairs.
Wheelchairs.
You go to any website or I talk to the Alzheimer's Association. Socialization is key. People, let me just go over this. With this disease in the beginning stages, the guests or the person with dementia is aware of their deficit. You may not know that they're aware because they may be trying to fake it. They may be, because what's going on in their head is they're thinking, wow, if my loved one knew how bad this was, they might put me in a home and I'm not ready to go in a home. So they're very suspicious, and they're in a stage where they don't want to be given away. They're afraid if they make a mistake, somebody will know that what's going on in their head. So people that were genuinely or generally in the past maybe gregarious, maybe outgoing, friendly people, a lot of times become more reserved. They don't say as much. They become very reclusive. They don't want to go anywhere. And a lot of that is because they're fearful. If I make a mistake in public, are people going to be unkind? If I make a mistake, is my loved one going to realize that I have I have this problem with my brain? Is my loved one going to do something drastic with me? I think I'm just going to be quiet and not let them know. So what we find at our center is once they come, now if they were always quiet, they're going to always be quiet. But if they used to be more social, and they come to our center and they look around and they see everybody makes mistakes and nobody cares, and it's just a very happy, friendly environment, their old personality does start to reemerge. I've seen it many, many times, and it's just a beautiful thing. You know, I had one family one time that they brought their brother, who was a sister. Brother was living with her, and he had dementia for several years. And he started coming here, and he had not been here long. I don't know how long he was here, but they had a family wedding over the weekend, and they took I don't know if I can say his name. Can I say his first name?
First name, sure.
They took Henry to the wedding, and that following Monday, the sister said, "What have you done with my brother?" And I'm like, "What?" And she said, "I feel like I have my brother back." Because for years, he's been sitting in the corner, even at family events, and not saying anything. Mm-hmm. And at this wedding, he was up, dancing, engaging with the other family members, talking. It was like all of a sudden he was him again. And it's just a beautiful thing that we see. If they were always quiet, they'll still be quiet, but they'll still have reasons to engage, and they'll we call it active. I forgot the term for it. What is it? Active
participation.
Whenever you're watching everybody else do things, but you're engaging.
Engaged, actively.
actively something. It's a technical term. It's a dementia term. We'll have to figure out what it is. But they can literally, just the fact that they're in the room when things are happening, even if they're not saying anything, they are benefiting from it. So from the socialization, from the people being kind to them, from the cognitive stimulation.
Yeah, no, those are all good points. I mean, their world's getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Again, they're taking themselves out of harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've got to do is put them back into that comfortable environment. And
Right.
you can only do that with other people, and for them to witness these other people enjoying their day, for which now they can participate.
I honestly believe that the people that come to my center have a better quality of life than other people their age that don't have dementia, because they do have a very social environment, and they can come and just have a great day all day. So